But we're going to move now to talk about exams. Teenagers who fail their English and Maths GCSEs should not be forced to resit them unless they have a realistic chance of passing. That's what the Commons Education Committee has said. We've got the figures here, so let's take a look at the figures. 300,000 pupils retook their GCSEs in June this year and got their results last month. Only 25,000 out of that 300,000 passed English and Maths. And reportedly, more than 80% of students who fail at 16 still haven't passed by 19. So ministers are considering alternatives for those who don't pass their core subjects. So, you know, what do you think that we should do about this, Janet? Because, you know, the audience were right to be quite shocked by that. Out of 300,000 that retook it, only 25,000 actually passed.
Yeah, it's a huge waste of effort and of money and time. It's just a waste on every level. So I can't believe it's got to this. First of all, I'd say that English and Maths are important, but of the two in the modern world, I would say that English as an ability to use English, to communicate, to express your feelings, to hold a conversation, to be able to apply for a job, English is by far the more important of the two. And you could argue that any requirement for Maths can be dealt with by using, you know, modern technology. Having said that, I still think that personal finances ought to be taught at school at every level so that kids have a clear understanding about money. But obviously, when I went to school, I learned English and Maths the old-fashioned way. I learned to express myself in English, but I learned to write the way the teachers wanted to hear, not necessarily the way that I talk outside the classroom.
But then surely, you know, if you've got kids that are retaking them at 16, 17, 18, 19 and still failing, they've got to find a different way. But also, it's a failure of an education system that allows a child to get to a point at which they are failing those exams. But then, you know, but I have a friend who, goodness, we're the same age, and he still isn't able to read, but runs a very successful building business. And it's having such an incredible time with his life. It's amazing. But the failure isn't on him regarding English. The failure is of the school that he went to that somehow let him slip through.
I think it's at home as well, though. I think the school needs to meet the parent. It's a meeting of continuing the reading at home as well. I don't think you can solely rely on the education system.
I think for teaching a kid to read, for a kid to get through a school system and reach 16 with an inability to read and write, and for a school to not notice those cracks or help or do something decisive about that, it's a school issue for me.
Yeah, I think if it depends the communication at home. Has the school communicated that? I mean, I don't know in this.
And also, do we know? We don't know whether these statistics include people with dyslexia, because that's a whole separate conversation. And of course, they're going to struggle to pass, you know, that sort of an exam if they've not had the right sort of special teaching at school. But leaving them out of the equation, I would say that, you know, it's all very well us all going, well, they haven't passed English or Maths, does it really matter? In the adult world, yes, it does. And, you know, and so many times now we sort of make excuses for the education system, and then these kids come out into the big, bad, wide world and want to get a job, and they consistently get knocked back because they haven't got these qualifications. So I think in that context, they are very important. And particularly, as Janet said, English, because in any situation, whether you're in a trade or in an office, you need to be able to hold conversations, you need to be able to email people, you know.
See, I'm with you both about basic foundations, Maths and English, but I'm doing Year 7 homework at the moment with my 11-year-old, thinking half of this you'll be relying on tech for or won't use. And when I'm thinking about at the opposite end of the scale, what my Year 7 daughter tells me is that my generation and above, the boomers, need basic skills in AI, social media, all kinds of tech that they don't have.
But you can have all those social skills that a 9, 10, 11-year-old might have, but if you can't express yourself with them,
I think you need foundations for sure, definitely.
I mean, in the past, I've worked with reading charities. There was one called Reading Recovery a while back, where they work one-on-one with children because they do sincerely believe that unless you can read the basics, it is going to stunt your growth in life.
But I do also think that just because you can pass your English GCSE doesn't mean that you're adept at holding conversations and be able to talk to adults.
No, you're right.
And the opposite as well. You cannot pass your English GCSE, but also be incredible in terms of being able to express yourself.
But when you're on a sheet of paper, your CV is a sheet of paper in an in tray.
But every person doesn't need a CV to get the kinds of jobs they don't necessarily need.
If you do, as to whether you get the job or not, they will look at that and go, they haven't got English.
Not in every job.
That's the harsh facts of the world.
Well, I'll tell you, if you want to work in a nail bar.
Janet! Right.
The curriculum needs updating.
Nothing wrong with that whatsoever.